Hello and welcome to Library Grindhouse, where the only movie ticket you need is your library card. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah, and we'll be reviewing the 2020 film Shadow in the Cloud.
But before we do that, I have to fangirl out on the B-17 Flying Fortress. I saw the movie Memphis Belle as a kid in theaters and absolutely blew my mind in such a way that I had to know everything I could about these airplanes. I bought the novelization, Leah. I bought the novelization of the film Memphis Belle just so I could re-experience it. It meant that much to me. I had the honor to meet Robert Morgan, who was the pilot of the Memphis Belle.
Pilot Captain Robert Morgan, industrial engineer from Asheville, North Carolina. He's flown this ship across the Atlantic.
And it crushed me during his talk when he basically told us that everything in that movie was pretty much fake. Yeah.
You were all about the historical accuracy, huh?
It was just, well, no, I wasn't. I was like, I love that movie. I couldn't believe that that was their final mission, was just all this crazy, like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And it was just like, wow, these guys are incredible. And it's like, yeah, our last mission wasn't that. And I was like, oh, man. I mean, I was a little bit older at that point. I kind of should have realized, artistic license, that kind of stuff, but it still bummed me out. But I was still really into B-17. So, but they were, a lot of things in the movie were actually based on experiences of airmen during the war. It just, they put all of them into one movie or one mission, and that's not how it went down.
Okay.
But yeah, but other than that, like surprisingly, apart from other straightforward war films, kind of like Memphis Belle, B-17 has been featured in a whole lot of movies. There was that crazy segment from the film Heavy Metal, and then I just watched a segment of Amazing Stories called The Mission, where basically, spoiler alert, the ball turret gunner basically draws a Who Framed Roger Rabbit set of wheels on the bomber itself so that he can land the plane without it crushing him, because the landing gear's damaged, and basically you have to land on the belly, which would, and he's stuck in the turret. So anyway, kind of like what happens in this movie. But so it was one of those things where I just couldn't believe there were little cartoon wheels on this thing, and the visual effects of the German fighters were Birdemic level. I mean, they are hovering, Leah, like helicopters in this movie as they're being shot at. And I'm just like, that's not how
it works.
Messerschmitts or any of them maneuvered. Like, they'd be just flying past. And it's like, nope, no. I mean, it was just like, come on, this is Steven Spielberg. Like, It was interesting. It was fun to see Kevin Costner and Kiefer Sutherland in early roles. So that was cool. Although they kind of weren't the greatest actors in it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Costner's kind of Costner. I'm kind of like, why was he in so many movies? Because he's always
He's always the same.
He's always just like, hey guys, I'm Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I'm playing Kevin Costner.
But people still like him anyways, so it's just kind of like, all right, I guess it works for him. But
works for a lot of actors when that happens. You know what I mean? They find their shtick.
Like Jeff Goldblum.
Exactly.
Like he's always Jeff Goldblum, but we're not mad at him.
No, yeah.
Good for you, man.
Exactly. He made his money.
That's right. He's still making it.
Yeah, he's still making it.
Yep. Anyway, so that being said, my head pretty much exploded right off my neck when I saw the trailer for Shadow in the Cloud. I mean, B-17s and Gremlins and Chloe Grace Moretz, who's been pretty good in the movies I've seen her in.
It's very true.
I mean, sign me up.
It's very true.
Sign me up.
You were really excited about it, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember we were talking about it. Like,
yeah.
I have to see this movie, and so let's get into it. So, I like how the movie opens with some wartime propaganda, like the cartoons and stuff. I thought that was kind of a fun touch. I mean, it's one of those things where you don't really hear about. I mean, you see some movies that have like newsreels, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to see kind of the Sergeant Snafu type of thing going on.
I agree with you.
That was pretty cool. And then I said, Gremlins don't cause accidents. Carelessness/recklessness does. And of course, this movie proves them wrong.
That is very true.
So yeah.
I actually really liked just the whole, probably the beginning 15 minutes of the show, I felt like was wonderful. They set it up perfectly. It was ominous. Like, hey, what is in that box? What is she doing? Why is she going on an all-male crew? Like, you know what I mean?
True.
What's going on? She's part of the Women's Auxiliary. Wouldn't they? Not saying segregation's good or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, how come they didn't like set up something for her? This just has a weird feeling right off the bat, but a good weird feeling. It entices you to keep watching.
True. Although I have to point out, there was also a poster that said Gremlins like to hurt you, or think it's fun to hurt you.
I didn't
Did
see
you see
that.
poster?
No.
There's a poster that said Gremlins think it's fun to hurt you. Which,
what? How did I miss that?
I don't know. I have a note here. It's apparently there. It's in my
it?
notes, so it
Okay.
must have been
It
there.
must have been
so
there.
yeah. So anyway, so it's August of '43, which I kind of looked at some research. It looks like B-17s were still being used in the Pacific Theater, which that kind of was like, I didn't really associate B-17s with the Pacific, but apparently they were used in some capacity. So mild historical accuracy. I can't be too mad at that.
Library Grindhouse will be back after these messages.
The Library Grindhouse is unofficially brought to you by The Great Courses, covering World War II, available free 24/7 through Kanopy with your library card. If you like your World War II more realistic with 100% fewer gremlins and absolutely zero babies on board B-17s, then look no further than courses like World War II, the Pacific Theater.
And now back to the Library Grindhouse.
But anyway, great synth score.
Yes.
I mean, oh my gosh. Like
Yes.
serious kind of 80s like synthcore vibes. It was really cool. And I like how it was so kind of unsettling and very surreal at the beginning. Like it's
Yes.
nighttime, it's foggy. Like the ground crew person, they disappear. The bomber flies over her. She turns around, and the bomber's like right there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, is there something supernatural already happening? Like what?
What is going on?
I was like, is this
Yeah.
artistic license, or because the Fool's Errand? I mean, it lands and just immediately like whips around like Jason in a Friday the 13th movie. It's like he's just already right behind you.
right
Like you've run like 5 miles and he's just literally right there. Like how'd you beat me?
Cardio
Like,
people.
is she dreaming all this?
Well, that's
is
what
this
I mean.
like is this like a fairy tale? Like is this?
Even though there wasn't a whole lot of sci-fi feel to the very beginning, I thought that there was. I thought it was going to be more sci-fi based, even in the beginning, because of little instances like that. I thought that they were trying to pull like little Easter egg clippings. See if you noticed. Type this.
Oh, I noticed. I overthought this. I was just like, what is happening? What am I seeing? Like, how'd that plane do that? Like,
Yeah.
this kind of bothered me. But yeah, so the bomber named the Fool's Errand, it's a bit on the nose.
Yes, very much so.
It looks like they're about 17 mission in, so they're a pretty experienced crew.
Yeah.
From what I could tell. And then something bothers me. Not quite on the level of the microfiche, microfilm controversy of Behind the Mask, but they tell her to get in the Sperry, the ball turret, for takeoff, which is unconscionable.
I'm glad that you know stuff about this.
It's
because
utterly inaccurate, because no one would ever be put in the ball turret during takeoff or landing, because you'd be crushed if something happened. Like, it's over. Like, you never get in the ball turret until you're in the air.
See, and this is just, little Leah. I know nothing of aircraft, wartime aircrafts, nothing like that. But even I was like, I don't think that's where anyone belongs. But I'm not going to say anything because I don't know. But even in my notes, I was
I'm glad
just
you
like,
know your place, Leah.
Yes, I know my place. But even in my notes, I was just like, what? Why?
Now, that being said, it's effective in isolating the protagonists.
That is true.
Especially because, I mean, as if being the only woman on a bomber in 1943 wasn't enough as far as being isolated. Now, I thought that she's been unable to get out of herself, so she's basically at the crew's mercy if something does happen. And so obviously this isn't an ideal situation for her.
No, not at all.
Because she's, yeah.
If anything does go wrong, she is stuck. Like, they literally put her in there.
But she's not
can't.
stuck, as we find out.
That is true.
Which kind of bothered me because like the whole ball turret thing, not only do you not aren't there in takeoff, basically someone has to help put you in there.
Yes.
Is from everything I've seen and understood about a Sperry ball turret. But maybe this is a special ball turret that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, this is a special
I'm
case.
overthinking it. So anyway, so now, yeah, she's got a cast on.
Mm-hmm.
She's got some kind of box container strapped on her arm that she's carrying.
Yeah, and she says that it's part of a top secret mission. It is of the highest confidentiality, so she cannot talk to anyone, including the person who's putting her on the plane, including anybody in the aircraft. She cannot tell them what is in the box. What's in the box?
But she has to give it up because they're gonna put her in the ball turret.
Exactly. So she is now
So there's some
separated
tension.
from
Like,
this.
is this some major like wartime technology? Like, could there be a spy on board that's going to that she could be handing this off to and like?
And also, question for you.
Yes.
So this could be, the total curiosity killed the cat. If she was in the turret, okay? If she was down the ball turret and they have the box, would you not even try and sneak a peek? Like, even just lift just a little bit. What if it was like a bomb or something?
Here's the deal. She presented official papers
That is true. I forgot
and said it
about
was a
that.
top secret mission. Everything seemed to check out. The captain was good with it. And this is the military.
That is very true. Very regimented.
And in
Follow
1940s,
orders.
and they're going to follow orders. unless
See,
things completely go sideways.
That is true.
I mean,
That's
it's just,
why
I kind
feel
of was
like,
able to buy that they wouldn't open it just because it's like, okay, it's wartime.
I just feel like
And-
curiosity would kill the cat in that. Like you're bringing a mysterious box on an aircraft. Yeah, but that's just me.
But it's like, okay, well, I mean,
But
this is
that's
all
true.
highly unusual, but yeah, orders are orders.
That is true. I've never been a part of that sort of camaraderie, that sort
Sure.
of just militia type thing.
You
So
weren't in marching band?
no, I wasn't marching band, but I would have opened up the box. Is that a trombone? Okay, cool. Like
All right.
I would have wanted to know. But I mean,
I'm such a rule follower that
I usually am too, but when it comes to stuff like that, like if I lift up this lid, will something really happen? But then again, that also might be a deterrent, 'cause what if it is like a bomb of some sort, and if you mess with it, it could. So that is true. Maybe that would deter me. But
would it,
anyway,
though?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's like a Christmas morning present, you know? Like I need to know.
Well, I am digging the production values right now,
Yes,
regardless. I think
that
it's
is true.
overall, things are looking really good for the most part. It's kind of stylized, like it's not seamless, but in terms of VFX and things like that. But I really, it all looks pretty good. The costuming's pretty good.
Yes.
I say all this as having just watched that Amazing Stories
So anything
TV
looks
movie
good.
from the 80s. So I'm just like, this is all just like fantastic, guys. This is great work.
No, I agree with you. I think they did a really good job. Costuming, just the whole cinematography was pretty.
Yeah,
spot
it
on
was
for
it
this
was
movie.
solid. So I actually hear some growling. Like, does she hear growling before she gets in the turret or not? I was trying to remember.
I don't believe so. I think she hears it first, and she does see something like an ominous shadow in a cloud during this point when
Roll
she's looking
credits.
out.
She's basically on board a plane with a bunch of super insecure jerks.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
But
not how you felt.
that is not how I felt. But they are jerks. But I just like the fact that it is something that is what you would hear in 1940s, being an only woman on a plane. I'm glad that they showed, or they
How evil
scripted.
men were.
Yeah, well, not how evil men were, but just you're talking about men who have been on a flight on how many missions? You just said 17.
17-ish,
Yeah,
if I
17
looked
different
at it
missions.
right.
They might have, you know what I mean, gone to boot camp or however. Like I said, I'm so sorry if I don't know a whole lot about military. They might have gone, you know.
We're gonna get comments, Leah.
They have this camaraderie. So, you know, when you get into with a group of guys and you're the only woman and they know each other, they know every joke that they're gonna say that'll make someone laugh, whatever the case may be. I felt like it was very accurate. I have been around groups of guys that'll just like roll with the punches, and I'm sitting there like.
Sure. Yeah. No, I hear you.
You know, so I did appreciate that they didn't not dumb it down, but they didn't.
I mean,
make
they wouldn't have been very nice to her, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
it would have been, at the very least, extremely condescending, if not outright hostile to her presence.
Exactly,
at that
and they
time.
already don't know what's going on. Like, we're just taking you, and we can't. Yeah, there's orders, but we still don't know what's going on. So I'm going
Right.
to belittle you. You could be anybody.
They keep calling her Miss, and I just have a note that they're a bunch of idiots. 'Cause I'm just like, she's a flight officer. Like,
Yeah.
where's your respect? Like, you're military. Like, I mean, woman or not, like, you should have a level of like professionalism.
That's true. I wonder how many women or like female flight officers there really were in 1942. Right? I wonder if it wasn't as prevalent as
I'm sure
it
a lot
is.
of gals served in the Air Corps.
But as it is a lot, you know what I mean? And I wonder, because she did say women's auxiliary, would they call her Miss? Or is there a professional title for an officer?
That's a great question. Let us know in the
Let us
comments. The Women's Auxiliary have an official ranking system.
Yeah.
And would male military personnel have referred to them by their rank, or would they have been Miss, or maybe Ma'am, or Hey lady, get me a coffee. That's more like it. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
probably more like it.
That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, no, just kidding. So she's basically told to leave the turret, but the handle breaks off
Yes.
in her hand.
So she is now stuck.
Right. And then it looks like some wires appear to be torn outside the turret. So there's some problems going on here. Things are getting messed up.
Some alarm bells are going off, you know, in Maud's head.
Pretty much. And we find out then the sling is fake and she's concealing a gun. I kind of saw that coming.
I did too as well, but it's one of those things where it's just like, who brings a gun on a plane?
But at this point, we've got the full-on holy crap, we have a gremlin on the plane.
Yes, and that thing, the gremlin, the first time I saw it, I was just like, that's not, I'm thinking gremlins, you know? Yeah, exactly. I'm like, all right, but no, this is like a cat, Wolverine, bat mix of a gremlin.
It looks like Dracula didn't fully transform back into a human.
That's actually perfect. That's perfect.
It's one of those. Like anytime we see like Monster Squad or anything where you get to see Dracula kind of halfway transformed from bat to man, that's basically what you got.
That's it. However,
I mean,
I wonder if it would be cute and cuddly if you calmed it down a bit. Any animal can be
such a
cute and cuddly
furry.
if you
No, I'm
need
just
to.
you and Swamp Thing, you and this man bat.
Seriously.
Okay.
I love creatures.
Cutting that out. I can't put that in.
Just have it be a blip. I love creatures.
Okay, so yeah, so she breaks a finger on her quote-unquote bad arm after using it to hold the door closed because the gremlin's trying to open up the rear hatch on the turret.
Now, does she break her finger too? Because I have her finger gets cut off.
Let us know in the
Let us
comments.
know. I'm sorry. I need to know this.
We really did watch this movie.
We did, but I need to know whether, or maybe it was her skin, something. Because I remember
She hurt her finger.
She hurt her finger.
It's
Okay.
gone or broken. Either way, it's out of commission. Finger out of commission.
Well, I was just saying it for continuity because I was like, her finger's back.
Because she saw a Japanese plane, she's requested to fire on it. Permission's denied, I believe. But
Yes.
she's able to get her gun out, and she's able to fire one bullet at the gremlin, which scares it off. And then we find out that Garrett is actually an American? Last name
What?
Johnson?
I did think that was a very good switch. I wasn't
Because her accent seemed to come in and out. And I'm like, is it just the actress not being able to hold her accent? And then
exactly. At first, I was just like, wait, what? Chloe, you messed up. Like, I
really
was
good actors struggle to hold the accent
Yeah,
that they're tasked with.
she did a really good accent too.
It was pretty good.
And I'm
yeah.
glad that they actually threw that
I'm not
in
British,
there.
so I can't really, you know.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. But
No.
but yeah, I thought that was a cool little slide that they put in there, and immediately it's spy, because that's what you would think.
Of course.
You know, why were you using an accent and now you're not? You're a spy. Immediately, especially during World War II.
Mm-hmm. And she's got a gun on board this plane. Like,
And they hurt. That's another thing too. Wouldn't that hurt her ears? Her shooting the gun.
it never hurts anyone's ears in a movie, Leah.
But
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger fired off 1,000 rounds and didn't need a hearing aid afterwards. I mean, it's not like you.
That
it's
is
not like
very
Saving Private
true.
Ryan where the explosion goes off and you hear like the ear ringing sound.
That is true.
It's like this is not that type of movie. It's like, can you imagine like in Commando, like he fires off a gun and it's just you hear that.
the
It's like
entire
you're hearing what
time.
he hears, which is like nothing, and it's like you can't hear the cool quips then.
Yeah, that is true. But
mean-
she composes herself really well for seeing like a gremlin that she just shot at.
Yeah, you'd think she would be a spy with like a high level of training.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's not, spoiler alert, kind of, anyway, just doesn't bode, it's just kind of a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
She's super, it's not that women can't be capable and that maybe in the Women's Auxiliary you actually even get to fire some of these machine guns and stuff. It just kind of is like, I just have trouble suspending my disbelief after a while.
Well, that's why I was like, where did she get her training? What type of women's auxiliary was she training? Like, what,
I know, it's
what
an awesome
was
woman.
this?
She got the best Women's Auxiliary, I guess.
Or, maybe she just has that fight or flight. She could just have a really good reaction time and a really, I don't know. Anyway.
But the Sperry turret, it looks like you have to like cock it, you have to like use the joystick to handle things and like how to fire it. Like that's something that I couldn't imagine too many people were trained for, let alone someone in the Women's Auxiliary, because
I would instantly just feel like I was in Star Wars and hopefully it just did it on its own.
I was being polite.
I guess.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't.
Right.
If I were put in there, which she had more training, but I wouldn't know what to do. And I feel like she knows exactly what to do.
Right.
Even down to we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I mean, the gremlin takes out the third engine, and then she can't get her guns high enough to use the turrets, which you don't want to use the turrets when you're firing at a gremlin that's on the wing, because you'd blow it apart. There's a whole reason why, like even, I mean, all the guns are made to, like, not fire when you're in line with the tail. I forget. There's some kind of mechanism, I think, because that was the thing where they used to be a problem.
I didn't know that.
Like
Okay.
you've seen Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, right?
No?
Oh, you haven't seen that movie?
No.
Well, there's a part where they're in a plane, and the guy's firing a machine gun in the back of it, and he accidentally destroys the tail of the airplane with the machine gun.
That would be problematic.
Yeah, so basically, I think they've come up with a mechanism where when you turn the gun and it's facing the tail and would blow it apart, it doesn't fire.
It doesn't do it,
or something.
okay.
I could be wrong. I could be talking out of school, as they say. But anyway, so then we discover the big reveal. That there's a baby in the box.
Baby on board, how I'm adored. That sign on my car's window pane.
Are you kidding? Library Grindhouse will be back after these messages.
Your baby is so precious. Don't sedate your baby. Don't put your baby in a box. Don't bring them aboard a bomber during wartime with a gremlin hitching a ride. Call number 649. By doing, don't be those parents.
And now back to the Library Grindhouse.
I was very surprised with that. My immediate reaction was I thought there was a baby gremlin. I thought that she knew about the gremlins and it followed her because she had a baby gremlin in the box, and this mama gremlin was freaking out because she stole its baby or something, and it was a top secret mission. So I had built up this thing in my head where I was like, there's gonna be like gremlin on gremlin fight and baby gremlin's gonna, I don't know. But I built it up, and then, I mean, nothing wrong
So I
with
thought it was a piece of technology, and it had like a frequency that was attracting the gremlin, or something like that. Where it was like, this is going to win the war, but it's also attracting gremlins, or...
Well, I mean, this does go to prove that this movie did a really good job with concealing what was in there and sort of making sleight of hands to make you not.
Did it?
I mean, I think so. Like I said, my mind.
Just because you didn't know it was in the box and it was a baby doesn't mean they did a great job to conceal it.
That's true, but
It could have been a stick of gum.
that's true. But I feel like they didn't allude.
I would have been just as surprised.
I feel like they didn't allude to it being a baby, or they didn't allude to her even having like a motherly I mean, yeah, she was really attached to the box, so I get it now in hindsight, but I would have never guessed that there was a baby in that box because problematic.
It's not possible. It would have woken up 1,000 times by now.
Yeah.
And later we find out she got a sedative from the nurse in 1943.
I know. What?
How do you calculate a dosage? There's no sedative that's approved for a baby.
That's what I mean. I don't know. What do you mean a sedative? I don't.
I mean, did you give it like a little thimble of Jack Daniels or something?
That's
like, I mean,
yeah.
it's just. Oh
I
my
don't-
gosh,
I don't know.
that's incredible.
That is the calmest baby I've ever seen, ever.
So we found out it's Quaid's / Walt. I don't know. Anyway, his baby, the one who took the box from her when she got on the plane.
Yes.
And that basically he left Maud when he found out she was married. And she admits that she joined up to away from her abusive alcoholic husband, and I guess her husband's friend.
Her husband's friend or something like that. Let us know if you guys caught it. Was coming to the camp, and she was scared that she was going to either be killed or be drugged back to her husband, so she decided to jump ship.
Okay.
One thing that I didn't understand, though, is why Quaid, baby daddy, why would he was upset because he didn't realize that she jumped ship to get away from her husband. He thought it was an actual mission from what I gathered, but it's like, that's a little too coincidental. You know what I mean? That your baby mama just has a mysterious box. What happened to your baby? Did he know that it was the baby the entire time in the box?
The way he looked at her when he took it was like, I don't know if it was, I guess in the end it was kind of like okay, I'm going to trust you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to trust that you're not blowing smoke with this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have, because she lied about the whole doggone thing. She thought she could sit on a car to run to Samoa to get away from her husband, who
Yep.
apparently showed up on the base. So the husband showed up on the base.
The husband, yeah. Yeah. So, but I also just thought, like, come on, Quaid, wake up. Isn't that a little too coincidental that she's just like, oh, yeah, I was told to go on your flight? Like, you know?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. It's true.
Because Quaid dead. Gremlin takes out Quaid. Maybe the baby. but then he winds up putting the box with the baby on a piece hanging off the wing.
Yes. So the gremlin comes back, captures baby, and that's when we see the just complete mod going off. Mother bear come out. You know, that's my baby. No one's gonna take my baby away from me.
She doesn't do that. She goes full on Moana.
You have no idea how far I'll go!
Twice. Disney should sue them. But anyway.
But yeah, she goes.
She has to climb under the plane to get the baby.
Come on!
Baby. Wow.
I know, and that's another thing. And I don't know when exactly the timeline is. I don't know if it's when she's hanging outside of the plane or not. But she fires a gun at the gremlin holding her baby. I mean, yeah, the baby's in a box, but I assume that box can't stop a bullet.
And the box wouldn't survive, and the baby wouldn't survive a fall from like 5,000 feet or however high that plane is.
Yeah, so I don't. And then another thing that I was thinking of. How is the box is like, like tilting all around.
Yeah.
How is there a baby just lying peacefully in there?
They chocked it full of sedatives.
I know, but like even still, its body would be like twisting and turning. I mean, there's soft spots. Their spines are very fragile.
You don't have to tell me, Leah.
I know you have children.
I've got 2 kids.
You have babies.
It's incredible. However, now when she gets out of the plane, out of the ball turret, or she goes into the ball turret, right? Yeah, to climb into the plane, and the camera does this cool flip move.
Yes.
And I really liked it because it actually allows the actress to not have to be upside down, which is clever.
That is a very clever move.
So you just need a wind machine to keep her hair looking like it's hanging upside down, and they're good to go, which I appreciate the ingenuity of that. I mean, I saw it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not mad at it because it's a fun technique. Like, so Chloe doesn't have to like be able to do 5,000 push-ups or pull-ups. So then a fighter winds up shooting off the turret. And I noticed here that the sound design is pretty great. There's some iffy green screen keying here and there, but overall it was just pretty solidly done, as we've mentioned before. So she gets the box back in the plane, and then there is she falls through the turret, the hole where the turret was, and then a plane explodes, and the explosion shockwave blows her back up through the ball turret.
I'm just gonna keep shaking my head.
And it's ridiculous.
That was the point where I was like, I'm offended.
I also thought it was kind of fun. I love the Fast and Furious movies, so I'm just kind of like, all right.
I like them too, but I feel like, Quaid, he got shot and he's down, and it's like one bullet stops him, but an entire explosion doesn't even like singe her back. Nothing's singed, nothing's burnt. Nothing's hurt.
But they flipped her body, so it's bent in such a way that she can fly right through the turret hole without it breaking her back.
I understand, but that's like a 1 in a million chance, and she's not even like a what? Just you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, that was supposed to happen. Of course that happened because
she's Warrior Woman. She's Maud, the warrior.
That's what I feel like. All this stuff happened to her, and every other person on the plane. Which, yeah, they were turds in the beginning, so you want to, like, not like them, but it's just not rational. I feel like every guy, he can get a paper cut and he's down, and she can be blown up, and she just gets right back up and keeps going.
Every action movie, like Arnold, every action star is invincible. Why can't the woman be invincible?
No, that's true, but they always have somebody else. Like, there's always some help. Like, in most action movies, there's always that, like, sidekick or a helpful hand or something. She takes no help from no one.
Why does a man have to help the helpless woman? Like
nobody has to. I don't
exactly.
mean like.
See, that's what they said. They said no one needs to help this woman. She's got it all.
Well, I know that, but everybody needs help, whether a man or a woman. Everybody needs help.
But like the Rock.
Xena, the warrior princess, had help.
Sure, but this is even better than Xena. Maud.
Nothing's better than Xena.
Maud. I mean, this isn't your mama's Maud, or your grandma's Maud. This is Maud.
That's true, but
she doesn't need help from no man.
That's just me. I felt like I just wanted to sing Kumbaya the entire.
But this movie's not the teamwork makes the dream work.
That is true.
This is women can have it all and do it all.
That is true, and I do appreciate. I feel like they clung more to that instead of to Gremlins, Japanese fighter pilots. You know what I mean? They clung more to the I am woman, hear me roar.
Well, we'll get there, but yeah. So
yes.
find out the gremlin can fly.
Yes.
Which is a fun reveal.
That was fun.
And then there's a Bombay scene, and the score is terrible. I have a note of that.
I will agree with you on
I
that.
was just like, what are you doing here? Because the score's been awesome.
Yeah.
And like, so the elevators are stuck, and so they fix it by flying upside down. We are in full Fast and Furious territory at this point, I think.
And now, is she flying it too? She takes over the controls as well, doesn't she?
I don't know. I think I kind of checked out at this part.
I believe she takes over
It's
the
possible.
controls.
Why not? Why not fly the plane?
Yeah,
Why not?
she can do everything. So she's flying the plane and she lands it safely. And then we find out that Quaid isn't dead because he is there.
Oh.
So that's what I mean.
That's how much I didn't care by the end of this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Quaid's not dead,
I
but he was
guess.
just somehow knocked out or something happened.
She's not quite dead yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. There's a few other members on the flight who did not die.
Right. She wasn't. I knew she wasn't alone. There were a bunch of poor sad sacks who were basically helping each other because they're all injured. Those
Exactly.
poor men. And she's all good. She's got like just a torn piece of clothing or something. I'm grateful they didn't just do the whole thing where it's like, you know, just her midriff tore.
Yeah,
Or like,
I was happy
At
about
least they
that.
didn't do that whole thing. But yeah, she goes full mama bear on the gremlin using its own claws to take it down, which I thought was a nice touch.
I did too. Well, I'm glad that the gremlin showed back up. I'm glad that the gremlin, there was like a full-on battle scene. Because at first I thought just they were going to have the gremlin like, pew, and be gone when the plane crashed.
Which would have been amazing, because then she has to answer for everything.
Yeah.
And there's no gremlin, no nothing, no proof.
Yeah, and they're like-
no, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Did she see it all? Like,
was it in her
did anyone
mind?
else see it? I think other people did see it, but did those guys
Well,
die?
I think Quaid's the only one that saw it originally. So it would have been like, oh, baby mama, baby daddy, and baby were the only ones that saw this gremlin. You guys must be...
Which that would have been really interesting.
Yeah, but
they didn't do that.
And I'm glad that when she, I mean, spoiler alert, which you guys already know, I'm glad that she killed it with its own claw, because originally I was like, you're doing hand-to-hand combat with a gremlin that can rip off steel with its hands, that can, you know what I mean? I was just instantly thinking like, Velociraptor, just, you know what I mean? Disembowel, just whatever. So I'm glad that they did do that. They thought ahead.
I mean, she was using moves that definitely aren't military issue.
That's
was
true.
The other thing there.
Well, and then I asked Jesse this. During this whole battle, there are 3 or 4 men who are watching the baby. How many men does it take to watch a baby?
I mean, there's a movie, 3 Men and a Baby.
And none of them even asked to help her. None
They're
of
all
them
hurt.
None of them even tried to like go. Well, she's hurt too.
They're all shaken up. This
that's-
isn't their movie, Leah.
But that's what I mean. That's why I'm like, I would be more upset. Yes, I want to be like, yeah, I can handle this on my own. But there is a alien gremlin. I'm doing hand-to-hand combat with him, and you 3 guys are off just watching this baby who's in a box who has already been able to watch itself pretty okay. Like, not made a sound.
I mean, this is just a bunch of dudes hanging out watching the game while the woman of the house makes the dinner, cleans
handling
everything,
it.
handles the kids. This is that. This is basically that in an action movie fight. I mean, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
this is woman's taking care of everything. I mean, you know,
It is
how
what-
how it should be. No, I'm just kidding. See, look, empowered? Question mark. But yeah, so that's kind of my thing at the end of this movie, because basically once she kills the gremlin, she takes her baby, and we have some gratuitous beach breastfeeding.
And it's like, it's almost like they raise her up too. The way how they're all sitting, she is up at like this peak, think of a pyramid, and she's breastfeeding this baby, and the men are like down by her feet, like
Right.
looking up and watching her. And I was instantly like, she bringeth life and she taketh life. It was just one of those things where I was
an
like,
empowering statement? Like
yeah.
Like, I can be a warrior and take care of my baby and take care of these men and...
To me, this movie had perks, and I have talked to Jesse a lot about how I just wish they focused more on the sci-fi aspect, and how I wish the gremlin was more a part of it, and how I just wish they would have made it be a little bit more, not absurd, because it was definitely absurd, but I don't even know. I don't know, but I was almost offended. I was almost offended, which is weird for me to be offended by it. But it was one of those things where I was just like, this is almost like no woman could ever do that.
Well, we want female action stars, but at the same time, it's like, this is just a little bit much, right?
Yeah, I thought it was way too much.
Like, I don't
And
know what they're trying to say. Like, women can work full time and do it all and take care of the baby and take care of the household and like do everything.
Superwoman.
And
Like,
but is this like a statement of like this is how great women are, or is this like what women should do? Is like not only should you do everything you're already expected to do, but you should also do everything men are expected to do.
and that's what I mean. I feel like this. Maybe they're mocking that like there shouldn't be expectations on any gender, or I don't know. And I'm all for having a lead female role. That's fine.
Female action stars. Awesome,
yeah,
please.
I'm fine with that. But I feel like this just went too far. I feel like this just went a little bit, not even a little bit.
And I guess people could push back and saying like, well, you're saying you can't be a warrior and a mom.
Yeah,
and
you totally can. I'm not saying
I'm
that.
just trying to figure out what this movie's point is by like throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It's totally like, I mean, it's a statement piece, but I'm just trying to figure out what is the statement and what are you supposed to take away from it, either as a man or a woman watching this thing.
I agree. Well, I also feel like men who watch this, there's there's representation for them too.
There's always representation for men.
Yeah, there
What are you
always is.
talking
I'm not
about,
saying it
Leah?
like that, but I meant like a man watching it. I don't know. I guess I have my own opinions about things, but
Well, you thought she was annoying and whiny too. Though.
I did. I thought that she just thought that her poo doesn't stink, and that she was just.
She had to pull off the whole thing of like, I'm on official business. I will not be trifled with. Because the minute they started questioning it, it was going to break apart.
And that's
so she had to
fine.
put up a strong front.
You can be stubborn and have a strong front.
She's playing a role.
And yeah, she can play that role, but then it goes above and beyond that role. Like,
But she's not whining later. She's like kicking it into gear at that point.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's just something about her, Jesse. I just can't. It's not believable. It's not believable to me. And it's like, I want to see a female role that is believable. I want to see a female who's strong enough to do things on her own, but also strong enough to ask for help. It doesn't mean that she can't do it on her own, but everybody should be able to ask for help. And I feel like people should be able to jump in and not when it's not even asked. You just,
so you
for
want this
all
to
of
be a realistic
humankind.
film.
Yeah, I know, and I know it's not going to be real. There's a gremlin. I know it's not realistic.
It's a cartoon, essentially. It literally starts with cartoons.
But I feel like it just went too far, and it's almost like they're like bashing you over the head with it.
Well, it's trying to say something, but is it saying anything? Like and what is it saying? Like that's where it's just a whole puddle of confusion. Like it's a fun B movie.
It is fun, and
Thanks for covering it on the Grindhouse.
It is a lot of fun. But yeah, at the end of it, I kind of had to sit there and collect my thoughts and be like, what did I just watch, and what am I taking away from this film? Mm-hmm. So yeah, let us know what you guys thought about it, or what you took away, or what you think the big takeaway is, because we're still
puzzling it over. I guess. Yeah.
Or is it just supposed to be? It is what it is. Because sometimes films are just...
It's a fun movie with a female lead who kicks some butt and feeds her baby.
And feeds her baby.
And just enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know, like, I don't know.
Sometimes you have to take
I do like that they had some cool footage of real-life female soldiers, pilots, etc. in World War II over the credits. That was pretty neat. Because I'm sure there were like dudes watching who were like, whatever, women in serving in World War II. They were, I mean, sure, maybe they worked in some factories or something or played baseball like League of Our Own style, but... they weren't in the war, and it's like, oh no, women actually served and did stuff. So that was cool to actually be like, no, this actually was a thing, like women's auxiliary, that kind of stuff, which was pretty cool. But
and I'm sure that some of them did some pretty amazing things. I mean, you hear wartime stories not only about men, there are wartime stories about women who have done some extraordinary things that you wouldn't think would ever happen.
Sure.
Understand that. This really, though, when she was blown up into
You're saying
the
this didn't happen, Leah? Are you trying to Memphis Belle this movie for me? Are you trying to be Robert Morgan telling me that this is all lies?
This is all lies. It's all fictional.
Why are you doing this to me, Leah?
But I would have been fine with this movie if it wasn't for the blow her back up into the plane. That's when I was like, all right.
That was the bridge too far for you?
Yes, only because I was like, that wouldn't happen. Now it's almost like you're making fun of her where she couldn't have ever done any of these things. It all had to have been luck. It all had to have been everything. That was when I was like, okay, she's just going to do it all.
At that point, I'm just like, this is a Fast and Furious movie. Okay, let's roll. All right.
I didn't take it that way, but
about
also...
family. It is about family. Look at that.
Yeah, it is. It is about family.
Makes me want to head to the Olive Garden after. All right.
So watch this movie and then watch the Fast and the Furious. No, I'm just kidding. They go hand in hand.
Right. So, our clue for next week's episode is
Clucifer here. Your clue for the next film is that tape blank?
But in the comments, be sure to let us know what you think next week's film is, and let us know if you'd bring your baby on board a Wartime B-17, or even your dog, or goldfish. Would you bring any living creature on board an active wartime B-17 bomber? Please let us know. So yeah.
Yeah.
For the Library Grindhouse, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah, and I'm gonna go punch a gremlin in the face. So yeah.
Word. See
Bye.
ya.